Hello again, I am Blunty, currently sweating buckets as this Australian summer drones on and on and on. And speaking of drones, he said in the world's smoothest segue ever, my regular viewers around here will already know one of my latest tech obsessions for this year is drones, quadcopters, unmanned aerial vehicles, remote-controlled whirly thingies. So I've done a couple of reviews so far. One of the most memorable will be the two, what's the model number? X5C-1 camera drones. I lost two of those. And when I say lost, I mean lost, gone, destroyed, sitting in the bottom of the river somewhere. Had more success when I recently reviewed this little nano drone, which I loved to bits. It was a lot of fun. I've been extending my reach. What have I got down here? I've got a couple of little nano drones, these guys here, which I'm putting through their paces for review at the moment. But most impressively, Parrot sent me one of these, which is the Parrot Bebop drone. It is their new fancy camera drone thing. It's got a 14 megapixel sort of fisheye lens there and a special video mode which doesn't use a mechanical gimbal to stabilize the video. It uses digital stabilization and is actually quite impressive. I'll tell you all about it in the full review I'm producing, but I wanted to share with you the story of my very first day with this thing and the incident that happened and why I was so much more excited about this than the other little Chinese, much cheaper Chinese thing that I lost two of, because this has a GPS in it, so it rescued me basically. Now, so I was out day one flying with this thing, and this thing can fly via control of your smartphone or indeed tablet. Apple, Android, doesn't matter. I don't know if they've got any Windows devices hooked up for them yet, but who cares? There's only like 14 people with Windows devices out there anyway, so who cares? So Android, Apple, whatever. It can also be controlled via a Sky Controller accessory, which you can buy with it or get as an accessory, and that is a full-on control stick thing, big, massive Wi-Fi antenna on the top of the thing to extend your range up to 2 kilometers, they claim. I haven't tested that yet. I'm only day 2 of testing so far. I went out this morning and did some more testing with the Sky Controller this time. My first day of testing, however, was with the Apple iPhone 6 Plus, if you're curious. And it was user error. Two ways it was user error. I connected the thing, turned it on, and synced the device, and opened the app, and took off. The thing I didn't do was wait for the GPS to lock in. I thought it had. Turns out there's a little GPS icon on the app, and it lights up. And oh, there's the GPS thing. I've got GPS lock. I'll take off. I'm fine. If I get in trouble, it'll fly back home. Wonderful. Excellent. Beautiful. What I didn't realize was there are two different colors of that icon. The yellow icon is the GPS is attempting to require a lock. I have to wait till it's green, till it's locked in the GPS and it's registered a home base. But I took off while it was yellow. That was problem number one. Problem number two is I was using the smartphone, which by its very design has a limited range. Wi-Fi from a phone has a limited range. That's why the Sky Controller has a big, massive antenna on it to extend the range. You know, an iPhone doesn't. So I forgot to go into the app and set a limit for how high the thing would fly. I was planning on setting it to 30, 40 meters, something like that. I thought that'll keep me well within range. Maybe I'll err on the side of caution, go 20 or 30 at the beginning, and just to see if I can figure out where that range stops for my particular setup. I didn't do that. I had the flight ceiling at about 50 or 60 meters, I believe, and that's where I ran into trouble, because one of the first things I did after is checking it, I went side to side, back and forth, and sort of got familiarized myself with the controls a little bit, and made sure I knew where everything was, and my thumbs were in the right places, and everything was doing what I expected it to do. And then I took up into the air, and immediately it went too high, and I lost my Wi-Fi connection. Now, the good thing is, the Parrot drone is very smart. It has a whole bunch of sensors on board, GPS, pressure sensors. It's a bottom-facing camera to look how fast the ground is moving below it, and all of this really sophisticated technology on there. It has a dual-core processor on there and a quad-core graphics processor on there to do a whole bunch of computations for the camera and the positioning and all of that stuff. So it's a very, very, very smart drone. What it isn't smart enough to do, though, is realize that if you lose connection, at least before you've had a GPS lock. I think it behaves slightly differently if it does have a GPS lock. We'll get to that though. But in the meantime, it was stuck up there. I had no connection. It was, when it loses connection, it by default will hover right where it is, waiting for you to walk close enough to get a connection. But of course, vertical distance was my issue, not horizontal distance, so there was no way I could get a reconnection. My phone wasn't reaching that far, and I wasn't about to try and jump up to try and get that connection. That would have been a bit foolish and silly and pointless. So all I could do was wait for the battery to drain. And this was off quite a fresh battery. I'd only done like 2 or 3 minutes of flight before, and it was the longest, like 7 or 8 minutes of my life, just staring up at this thing, craning my neck, hoping that it doesn't drift into a tree, into somewhere where I can't retrieve it from, over people, something like that. But to its credit, it stayed exactly where it was supposed to stay. It was sitting in this column, in this GPS locked column, and it drifted maybe a meter, if that, a couple of feet, a little bit. And you can see that in the video footage file. It is stabilized by default in the device itself, so it's a bit difficult to see, but you can see it drifting a little bit because it was windy and it was a little bit gusty up in the sort of up 60 meters up in the air, wherever it was. But it stayed exactly where it flew, and that was good thing number one. Good thing number two is once it hit a critical battery level, it didn't die and fall out of the sky and crash, which is what I was worried about. It, in fact, activated its landing procedure. So it came down in that column there and actually landed, I think, within about 3 to 4 meters of where I took off. And that was without a proper GPS lock, remember, when I took off in the first place. Now, my understanding is, and I haven't tested this yet, I was going to do that this morning, but I forgot. I was getting too excited playing with it this morning because it was really working just beautifully well for me this morning. Because I was using the Sky controller with proper sticks and that huge range and everything. I was having a blast. Anyway, my belief is, and my understanding is from what I could read online about the manual and everything, is if you have a proper GPS lock when you take off, that icon is green. If you lose connection, it will wait 2 minutes and then activate its return to home function. So it will come down or up to a height of 10 meters to try and get above common obstacles, and it will just fly its own way home where it took off from and land gently. But like I said, I didn't, in my excitement, in my enthusiasm to get this thing flying, I didn't wait for the lock, apparently, or I was confused about what the yellow icon meant, but I didn't know there was another color to tell me that was a lock. I found that out later as I was trying to diagnose why it didn't return to base after that 2 minutes, which I was sure I read in the latest firmware update. I was sure in the latest firmware update I read something about it returning to home 2 minutes after losing connection, so it doesn't, fly away and disappear on you. So that is my Bebop story, my fantastically encouraging Bebop story. Not only so far is it a brilliant performer, I'm getting great stuff out of it, but it's so well behaved. I'm getting, my confidence with this thing is building very rapidly indeed. I've got, like I pointed out before, I've got a bunch of other drones that I'm going to be doing videos about, reviews about. I've got another one coming in, a brand new model, one of the Chinese models, quite an affordable model, coming in to me, which should be to me early next month, so I'll be looking at that. So yeah, my addiction to drone flight and drone photography and drone videography in particular, I'm especially interested in ones with cameras because I'm a camera nerd, of course, is ongoing. And to those of you waiting for the other reviews, I know I've got microphone reviews, I've got a headset review, I've got some vape gear to review. It's all coming. I know I've been slacking off over the last 10 days. There's been no videos at all. I'm sorry about that. It happens from time to time. You're a creative type. Sometimes you get a block. Sometimes you get sick. You don't feel like it's too freaking hot. You're sweaty and sleepy and can't be bothered. Whatever. They're coming. I promise you, they're coming. I just wanted to share that story with you today because it's a very easy video to make because all I have to do is turn on the camera and waffle for a bit. I am Blunty. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.